I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. For one thing, remember when I was saying about that show, The Travelers? One of the things that they try and do is they keep saying they're vegan. They're more advanced beings. They are from the future. They're vegan. You know, who knows? I'm sure they'll sometimes say what happened to all our resources. We destroyed them ourselves, of course. And that's where you find like the indoctrination that it is like one of the defenses that goes into the corral. That's how they keep our minds just where they want our minds to be, basically. You know what I mean? So yeah, the hard push on the vegan. And at one point somebody said something about 100 years, and I feel like they were talking about their ages, but it could have been, because they keep on saying, like, when somebody comes, it'll be like, welcome to the 21st century. And they always talk, like they know so much more. We were the weak link. We did all these things to destroy the planet, and now they're having to suffer from it, so they're back to fix it. A whole bunch of them, not just a couple, and that reminds me of the whole thing where with light workers and star seeds, right? Because there's so many, and they are finding their groups, their teams, their tribes, however you want to look at it. And so it shows that in that show. So like they disclose some truth, but they also try and direct our minds a certain way that they want to lead it. And they want to do the artificial food. I think that the corporate farm, well, they got busted too. I mean, you had people going in and filming what they were doing, but I think that they think that artificial food is they can put whatever they want, the chemicals and shit, into our food. So the more artificial and the more, when you look at the ingredients, the more ingredients, you're going to go through every single ingredient, look it up, how to fix your body and all that shit. There's so many. And that is the thing when my daughter, who is vegan, and she eats all these things that are all like, packaged, it's artificial, If you're not going to eat Velveeta, well, it's got milk, so you wouldn't if you're a vegan. But, a lot of people back before, they would make fun of Velveeta because it was artificial cheese. It wasn't normal, regular cheese. And so that is how I see all this vegan food. Although I do drink, I don't drink it, but I use it, is almond milk usually, not soy. Soy is not good for you. And I like cashew milk. And so either one, I've heard that, the almond one is more better for you, but then I've heard that the almonds, what they're doing about that is causing more problems in our environment or whatever. So, but I don't drink the milk because I just don't like milk. It grosses me out. But, when you have to use milk, I do put milk in my tea. Oh, I don't put milk, I put creamer in my tea. But all of the things that she makes are all like made with all this stuff. And I'm constantly, well, Caleb, if you want to be healthy, I hate saying people's names. If you want to be healthy, shouldn't you go for the more natural? Like, isn't that what our body is designed for? Is the more natural ingredients, not more chemicals in our processed food. And what also gets me is the packaging of everything. I'm sure I've talked about it before, but it is like, to me, is like the false flag was the Tylenol incident, right? So once they had the poisoning incident, then, and that's nothing to them. Dispose of a few people, nothing. Then they changed all this stuff about packaging. Well, I'm sure that all these different corporate elite controllers, that they already had their hands in the the plastic, they had to figure out like, okay, so how are we going to make money off this? Well, let's do packaging. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, we put all safety packaging. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, we'll just kill a few people and tell them it's necessary. That's basically how their system works. So, and then you think about all of the fucking, when I was a kid, it wasn't packaged like that. I remember when it started, to me, the first time I remember people complaining about packaging was when people switched from albums to CDs and the packaging. People would get so frustrated trying to, and DVDs, I think. But back then is when I started noticing like, oh my gosh, what the fuck is up with this packaging? Then when you start finding out more about it, then you start seeing like, it's just, there's so much corruption around so many things. Oh my God, it's such nonsense. So, for one thing, that just their whole thing, oh yeah, well, you got to eat vegan if you're going to be progressive, if you're going to care about the planet, that's what you got to do. And then we got old crazy Gator Boy. He's out there buying farmland because he's going to grow, I don't, it's kind of weird because he's going to grow cows in a lab to sell artificial meat. But then he's also getting all this farmland. I say it's burial grounds. I say they're going for Soylent Green. That's what I think. It's a manufacturing plant for dead bodies. Because something's not right. Something's just not right. But so another thing I was looking up, because last night, again, they were telling me that word that I was trying to say the other day, and I couldn't say it. I could see it, I could hear it, but I couldn't say it. And so they've told me a couple more. Oh, sorry, I do fiddle with my hair a lot, but it's not when I'll do it like I'll be standing there, and just doing it, and my mom's like, oh, you got to stop that, you just look like a nervous wreck. I was like, I'm not nervous at all, I just like to do it. It is. And then when you see that, my little granddaughter with the fidgeting thing, well, if you're a fidgeter, then you look for things to play with. But that doesn't mean I'm nervous. It's more like it calms you. I don't feel... anyways. So, moms still trying to be moms. Doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, I'm going to be 60 years old in a couple of months. I'm excited for it, though. I mean, to me, it's kind of fun to be like, to take really good care of yourself and see, like, how long can I keep going? How long does it work? So, okay, the word was sentient, right? So I was like, okay, I don't even know what this means. So I went and looked it up last night after what was I doing? I must have been taking a bath because they talk a lot when I'm in the bath. That's why I always tell people, take a bath. If you can't fucking hear them, you don't feel you're getting communicated with, go take a bath, relax, turn on some music that is just peaceful, relax your brain. You're blocking your own communication because it's out there. You're not realizing that they're saying stuff and you're thinking that it's your brain creating thoughts, or you're overthinking. You just, you're what is that called? It's called something when you just go and your thoughts are just, especially when they're just repeat. It's called, it'll come to me. Okay, so anyways, I looked it up. So I want to read this. Okay, so in Buddhism, sentient beings are beings with consciousness, sentience, or in some context, life itself. So still the word sentience and sentient. I mean, I've read this a bunch of times, trying to really wrap my head around it. So, okay, in Buddhism, sentient beings are beings with consciousness, sentience, or in some context, life itself. Sentient beings are composed of the 5 aggregates or skandhas. I keep thinking it's skandhas, whatever. Matter, sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. So sentient beings, they're composed of 5 aggregates. I'm not going to say the scan, whatever. Okay, so the 5 are matter, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. This is what I believe my guides are telling me. This is I don't know if these are my personal goals of what I'm aiming for, or if it's just all of humanity, but they keep saying it. And when I read it, I was like, it is still kind of hard to wrap my mind around. Maybe it's because I have a brain injury. Maybe it's, I'm slow. I don't know. But it seems like a lot. Because, we are in human form. You are dealing with matter, sensation. That is something that I used to think about a lot when I was a kid. And a lot about sex and stuff like that. It's about the sensation, It's about feeling the sensations. Even when I got my facial the other day. And, that's just like getting these, it was really like kind of cool because it's all these different kinds of things, all these different, and they all give you all these different sensations. And it's not just I think that we think sensations it manufactures an idea as soon as you say it. But the sensations, the feeling all these little tingles in your body all over, that is something that we should be, you don't get that when you're not incarnated. When you're outside of a body, you don't get to feel sensations. You don't get to feel, what does that feel like as an energy being, inside of a body. So I think focusing on those things and bringing us in, that same thing with the mind, body, soul, bringing us into those, appreciation for those feelings, but to be in tune with those feelings, And then perception. Everything is about perception. It's how you view the world, is everything. And it's all based on that individual soul, no two souls are having the same perception, So I think that is, and then mental formations. I take that as mental formation. I take that as your manifesting your creations, It's how you create. It's your mental formations. It's how you design, how you see the world. You know what I mean? That's how I take it. And consciousness, we talk about that all the time. Consciousness and being aware, conscious awareness, being conscious in every moment. Not getting lost, not going on autopilot, But I really, for them to keep saying that to me, I feel like that is what we're trying to do. I still don't really get about those sentient and sentience. That's just, a being that is focused on these things, because that's all we're trying to do here right now, So I think that is, I think that has value. It has, that's how we need to focus. That's what we're trying to do. We are trying to become sentient beings, focused on what is important, not focused on, who got the coolest car, who went and bought the cutest outfit, and just the bullshit, and that's part of the whole Facebook structure. Get people to desire and be jealous and feel bad about their own lives. And, you get these people who they just try and build their life up as being oh, it's spectacular. I live the best life. Really, here she comes. Woo! I knew that was going to happen because it's every time occurrence at this point. Okay, lady. Yeah, this is truly a bull in a china shop. I'm waiting to see what she's gonna do next. She's sniffing the couch. She's trying to decide. She's looking out the window. What should I do? I want to go outside and bark at something. Do I need to check and see if the cats are out there? I'm gonna just get up here on the couch. She keeps being uncomfortable on the couch lately. She'll lay there and then she'll get like and go off somewhere else. She's very much trying to decide what she wants to do right now. It's so cute. This morning, when she was outside, I tried to do my yoga while she was out. So I had my yoga mat out, and I had on some meditation frequency music stuff, if you call it music, I don't know, meditation frequency sounds. And so I was doing my stuff, and but right when I was getting to the end, then she's at the door, so I let her in, and then of course, because it's been raining, she just comes with her little muddy feet, and she's got to walk back and forth on my yoga mat, back and forth and back and forth, and then she just got to just lay down right in the middle of it. She really cracks me up. You see her right here. Okay, so one of the things too, I was thinking about, oh, she's just gonna come straight across here now. What are you trying to do, lady? You already knocked the phone down once. Can you just stay over there? I'm right here. Sometimes I feel like she feels like she's got to be touching me. This morning, when I still had some more stretches to do, so I was laying down there, but I had my hand and I was petting her little head, and I was thinking, it's weird because, as a human, if you have a lover and you're feeling, she's knocked something over, you're feeling kind of like, I don't know, whatever you're feeling, could be any kind of emotion, and they were to come up and put their hand on you, or just, even touching your head or your hair or whatever, it gives you that soothing, connected feeling, right? And so when I was doing that to her, and she just felt so peaceful, you could just feel her just relax into it, just like, oh, so nice. Mom's touching my head. And, from a dog's perspective, like, how do they look at it? Like I'd said before, like, I don't know, maybe she thinks that we're a couple. I don't know. Who knows how they look at things. But I've always got to prioritize her for sure, because I would never, I might have talked about this before, but with my last husband, right? And he was super young, never again. I will stick to somebody in my own generation from now on. But so, I was super young. I was just like, oh my God, what do we have to talk about? There's just, I don't know, you run out of stuff. You just don't see the world the same way at all. It's like they've made a big difference of how generations have grown up and like how they see things, Now they want to get rid of my generation. Oh, or especially the ones older than me. Yeah. I think that in their perfect world, they would just, get their younger zombie androgynous robot AI people to just slaughter us all, because we're the problem. We've destroyed the world. It's like a common theme. And I can't even tell you how many shows I've watched where it's the kid who has to save everybody. It's never the adult. The adults are always just a stupid ass. And all these shows. The kids, Jesus Christ, thank you, Lord, for sending us these kids to save the world. It's just so much indoctrination all the time. But anyways, we're not going into that world. So, we can know that that's what they would prefer, but I mean, now we're in God's time, so now the world is changing for the better, because we're purging out all that stuff, and we're going into, it's more God consciousness, but it's more of a positive vibration. It's more of a positive life on this planet. And, you know, one thing I was thinking about too, well, I think about a lot of things all the time, but, you know, my grandson, I was talking about him the other day, and him talking a lot about, he had been seeing a lot of people on TikTok that have been seeing spaceships and stuff, and he was always looking for them. And that's when him and I got the telescope, and we would look. And I did a past life regression on him, right? And in his was so interesting because he had a friend who he was very, very close to when he was younger. And they were together all the time. And they were both really focused on supernatural stuff. Like my grandson, when he was young, he even had told me about coming out of his body and walking around the house and going back and seeing his body and getting freaked out. I always feel like that's super loud if I cough, but I still feel like it's whatever, stuck in my throat. And so anyways, he was him and his friend, they would have all these different experiences, and they were always like focused on that stuff and looking for that stuff, right? And his dad, that side of the family comes from the reservation. Oh, there's a lot of spooky stories for the reservation. Man, there's some creepy ones. One with this little nun lady. And she doesn't walk. She's small and she floats. And I don't remember all the stories with her. And there's a wolf creature. And when you see it out there, you know, and it will chase you and stuff. There's a lot of spooky stuff out there on the reservation. But anyway, so his family is always, you know, talked openly about supernatural things. I've always talked openly about supernatural things. So he, when I did his past life regression, he was some type of soldier, and it was on some other planet, or it could have been a future time or past time or whatever. It wasn't in this present existence at all. It could be, but he was on another planet, I guess. But he was a soldier. Like, you could see how he was dressed. He was riding in this craft. He could explain the craft. He could explain, you know, how it was going, and he knew he had a mission. And his friend that he was spending time with as a kid was there as well, and they knew each other as soldiers, and they were really good friends. And he went through a couple of different things with this kid. I think that they even went into another past life after the one. I think I still have those recorded. But it was really super interesting. And then he was talking about something about him here now, presently. He's here as a protector. And that's the thing, is that we all have like missions. We all have like something that we came here to try and do, came here to try and learn, came here to try and help others learn. You know, we all, there's a mission behind our purpose, you know, and it's inside of us. And, you know, I think that's part of the challenge, is to try and understand, what is my purpose? What am I here for? What am I trying to accomplish and do? Because there is something. This isn't by accident. You aren't here as just a freaky thing, you know, like I've said before. That's just one of the biggest misleading lies that they've distributed to human beings. And one of my I've seen a few of mine, and not all of them. I've seen a couple in the past life regression thing, and there's something about those H2, now I can't think of what they're called, BHQ, there's a certain type that you do, and it's something about healing. And that's where I had seen some stuff and had, got this healing for whatever. I mean, my neck is still, I think it's still all probably twisted. I don't know, I haven't had it x-rayed in a long time, but the pain went away after I had seen that. And, and the other one too, because I used to get migraines all the time. Oh, every day. Horrible migraines. And they told me it was from the scoliosis. It was from the spasms. That was the start of them putting me on medicine. Because, how dare you get a headache? You need to be on prophylactic medicine and you're not responsible. So, I bought into that. And so I, in the one past life though, this one was, it was super interesting to me because I was, and I maybe have talked about it before, but I was like, I lived in this, like, I don't know, Greek, Roman kind of, it was like an empire kind of thing. And just the way that people were dressed. And I always thought it was back in the time of like, where we had, Poseidon is the one I'm thinking of, but all the different gods, the Greek gods, Zeus and all those, when those beings were, that's what it looked like to me. What I've seen in movies, like with those kind of godlike beings. Well, any godlike being was just somebody from another planet, right? But in this one, I was talking to these giants. They were giant people. And my dad was like like my family was, I don't know if it was royalty or if it was just rich or, wealthy. It was definitely, a family that would have been living up in a fancier place. So we would have had servants and shit back then. And then something happened where these soldiers were coming in. I think they were coming to try and get these giants or something, because the giants were good to us, but there was some kind of division. Like there was, maybe it was the politicians or something didn't want them to have control. Maybe it was my dad was a powerful person, or my family or whatever. So they were having contact with them to do something. I don't know, but these guards came in and they killed me. And I saw them kill me. I was hiding and they pulled me out and they just hit me in the head and it killed me. And I stopped having migraines all the time. I'll still get them, but it's more like what I said, like the other day, like I'll sleep, like have a braid or a bun in my hair, and then it will just, I don't know, somehow get in this weird place in my neck, and I'll wake up and I can't move my neck, and that will give me a headache. But I don't have headaches all the time. But I thought that was really interesting. Like I saw a lot about that one, and then before that, when I had gone to that one psychic, right, and she had told me about that whole gypsy life that I was living, and I was a total crook, and I used my looks to get by, and I just wasn't a very nice person, and then I got stabbed in the stomach and thrown off a ship because I was involved with criminals. And that's one thing. When I see stuff and see people involved with criminals, it's like, whoa, you know what you're going to get if you're involved with criminals. Like, I just know that inside of me. I didn't have to ever have someone tell me that. And then I had the birthmark wound thing in my stomach. And I used to have two. The other day after I got out of the shower, I was looking for the other one. And I don't know, when my body, when it grows, I remember it used to be right on the front when I was little. So I don't know where it went, or if it just stretched out more and you just don't see it as much. But it was, if it was scars from a past life stabbing, I would say that one would have been the first one where they're just like, oh. But then once they, put you in this shock or whatever, then it's just like, oh. Then, because the second one was definitely a big rip. And I've had so many gut problems in this life. And I think it has something to do with that. But, you know, just because you can think of it, it's still more complex to try and figure out, like, well, what is the thing that I need to heal? What is it that I'm holding on to or not wanting to hold on to, or, you know what I mean? So you still have those challenges if you're trying to heal your body from past life traumas. You know, you don't have to. You can just go about your life. You don't have to. This is the weird shit I think about. And there was one I was constantly, when I was younger, I had the one where I constantly had the dream, the reoccurring dream of me being murdered by the big cat, big tiger. And that was, that one, that came over into this one when the big cat came into my yard. It scared the shit out of me. I did not think I'd be able to stay living here. I was literally crying when I found out, and that it still gets scary. Even last night, after I shut the door and the lights were, it gets super dark, and I don't like to open the door. Once it's night, I don't know, there's shit out there. And so I'm sitting here and Stella was just totally snoring on the couch. And I don't know, maybe I was watching something. I could have just been writing. I don't know. I was doing something because it was pretty quiet. And I heard something on my porch. I heard my little gate move. I heard the door move. I was like, oh my God, that's so creepy. Oh, there's no way I would. In a scary movie, they'd go open it and then get stabbed in the face. But there was no fucking way. I just looked and I saw that, okay, my security light's not on. Maybe it's a cat or something like that. I don't know. It's just creepy. But I definitely think there's stuff in the forest. I definitely think there's things that can be unseen until they want to be seen. I definitely think that they could creep up on you and be right behind you and then be seen. Like, they've got more skills than us, you know? We're just going to start learning about these skills. And these different beings are going to be there to teach us if you're open to it. If you're not open to it and you're a scared little bitch, then I guess you can just stay a scared little bitch. But some of them are something to be scared of, I say. Skinwalkers. Those are some creepy motherfuckers. So, anyways, there's some that I would definitely be scared of, but there's gonna be a lot that aren't scary. There's gonna be, you know, we're gonna have, like teachers or, like advocates, you know, people who are here to help us realize our own power. And, you know, there's going to be people who are just scared of everything that they don't understand. There's just no doubt about that. There's so much fear. fear. People just live. I think they prefer to live in fear. It makes them feel comfortable. But that's something that, in order to ascend, you have to break out of that fear mentality. But so anyways, back to this other one, because in this one I was thinking about this, you know, how many times have I been incarnated in a more current time. And I feel like I was definitely in a war, and I think it would have been World War II by how I'm dressed, and the plane, it seems I was a pilot, and I was best friends with this other pilot, but we became romantically involved. I mean, like, we became in love, and but it was not accepted back then. And so I had this love, and it seems like one of us got killed during the war. And but that's the thing, is when you can see the things, when you get the visions and stuff, and you can feel it, like you feel an attachment. It's not just like conjuring up a fantasy. When you have it, you feel an attachment. You feel it inside of you. These feelings that are like, that relationship was very very profound for me, you know. It was like a deep love. And that's where I always say, love is love and stuff. That was something, God, my hair is driving me crazy. That was something else that I wanted to say too, is because, I do believe love is love. And not everybody needs to experience love in the same way. So there's guys, I would say men, who are madly in love with each other, who have been best friends, have each other's back to, they would never let anyone harm the other one. But they've never had sex. They just had this deep, deep love for each other. And that's the thing, is like, we all think like automatically if you love somebody, well, then you have to go have sex with them. That's not necessarily true. But you can have deep, deep love, and, and it's not shameful if your love leads to sexual relationship, because sex isn't just to procreate. Sex is also to enjoy the sensations, to enjoy your body, to feel the experience. And, there's just been so much shame that has been put on people. And to me, like that LGBT, whatever, all the letters that you just keep adding on and adding on. These people who feel marginalized, who feel misunderstood, who feel they need to get their name out there associated with some letter to have their rights. It's like, you don't have to have anybody. Just claim your rights. You don't have to have everybody say, oh, they're a he, she, they, whatever, all this bullshit that is going on. It's like, oh my God, you guys, break out of the system. Don't just add on to it. The system they're creating is to bind you to this bullshit. So anyways, I was talking about this yesterday too, and I forgot to finish it because I get off on my things. But so when I was at the Women's March, remember, because I was talking about fucking Gator Boy, he was there in the Seattle one. Him and his wife were there. I don't know. I don't know if that was the real wife, because the real wife died. That was even in the news when she died. And then they brought in this weirdo looking woman person, because they've got to just cause confusion. That's the thing. They've got to make us so we don't know what is a man, what is a woman, like what is with age and stuff. Like, we have no perception of any of this stuff because they're constantly selling us bullshit. And so anyways, we're on this march, and it was freaking long. It was miles long. I mean, the whole street all the way across, just piled, like when we were doing videos, when you went up a hill, you could just see it was like an ocean of people. And it was cool too, because you could hear, it would be like way, way far back. People would start doing some kind of chant or clapping or something. And then when you would hear it start, it would sound like a wave or something. It was so cool sounding, and it would move through. Oh, it was magnificent. But anyway, so I was walking next to this person for quite some time, until I kept trying to like weave my way through the people, because it was a lot. It was a whole lot listening to this guy, girl, person, he, she, whatever they want to be. I don't even know. But they were really, really upset because they were left out of the initials. They were excluded, and they are not included. Like if they go to, I don't know, meetings or something, there's meetings and places you can go if you're consider yourself a letter, and then you can go there and talk to other people who consider themselves a letter. And so this person didn't have their letter in there. And they were very upset. And I don't even remember. It seems the person looked like a total guy, like had a beyond scruff, but not a beard. Very tiny person. Just everything was really small on them, like no muscle, like really, like where you would think they were sickly, like they look like they had cancer, kind of small. And it seems like he was wearing, I don't remember if it was a dress or it was some kind of strange attire. A lot of people, when they go to these marches, they like to stand out and wear crazy clothes. He was definitely wearing something weird. Maybe he had like some, I don't know, I can't remember very well. But I just remember this person was quite the character. And they were very upset because they were born both. I think they were born both, but they said, you don't say hermaphrodite anymore. They're called something else. It used to be called hermaphrodite when I was a kid. And just don't forget, I even was like, man, was I born a boy and my parents thought I was supposed to be a girl and they just cut it off because there was nothing really girly about me inside. Well, I thought, just because I was really tall and skinny and I had no boobs. So I thought, I'm not a girl. This isn't what girls look like. Girls look like different than that. Plus, everybody told me I look like my dad. That didn't help. So, anyways, his thing was that he was being marginalized by the group. That seemed like, his should have been the first letter. If you want, if you want a letter in the group, this guy definitely had a thing. And there's so many things, and it was kind of syndrome-y or something. Like it seems like a bunch of teeth missing. Like there was something more to what he had than just about your gender. And he just was relentless on his stuff. And but he seemed like he was friendly. It seemed like he was talking to a lot of people, but he definitely wanted, to be heard. And I feel like you shouldn't have to go and be accepted by any group. You shouldn't have to try and force your way into a group. You shouldn't have to come up with your own pronouns and shit. You're just a fucking human being. We're all human beings. They want to keep you so confused and so divided. It's so crazy. People have got to just start accepting themselves and stop thinking that they need acceptance outside of themselves to the point of this stuff. But anyways, this LG whatever, the letters are really being used as a weapon right now, I think, as to control and confuse people. I keep seeing this hair that I almost put it up before I did this, and sometimes you put it up and you're trying to do it and it just gets so tangled. And you try and put a rubber band. I went when I was in Spokane last week or whenever it was, a week or so ago. I bought a bunch of those hair clip things like they use at the hairdresser place at the dollar store. You can get cheap ones at the dollar store. I even found some at the thrift store that were dollar store prices, like a whole package of them but I got a bunch of those, so then you can just pull it back and clip it. But maybe I should have done that today. But anyways, I think that people have really got to get into their beings, into their heads, to just, love and accept themselves. You don't need to be associated with other things. You don't need to describe yourself to anybody. You don't have to I mean, all this stuff has just gone way too far. And it's just so unnecessary, you know? I think all of us just would accept one another when you're friends with somebody and care about somebody. And if you are around people who don't care for you, find some new friends, you know? Don't stay friends with people who don't care about you. That, you know, you have to prove something to them, that you are worthy. Then there's other people out there who are like you, who don't see the world that way. You know, you just have to find them, but you have to, you know, you have to, like I was telling my son-in-law before, before they just said split up, when they were splitting up, I kept saying, you've got to get out there and you've got to go and find some hobbies, and then go start doing them. And then when you're doing them, you'll find people who are like you, who enjoy the same things as you. That's where you'll find your friends. That's how you'll find people that accept you. You don't need to go, you know, we don't need a national movement. All this stuff is just, it's so much of it is just created just to keep us arguing, to keep us fighting, to keep us distant from each other, to cause us to separate. I mean, when they're getting you down to you're a mere letter, I mean, they already had it where they don't want you to claim yourself as a mother or a sister, you know, no gender things. It's like, oh my God, you guys, come on. Don't play their games. You don't have to be yourself. Be whoever God created you to be. You are part of who's creating you, you know? God is in you. Get in touch with God. Get in touch with your inner self. Get in touch with yourself, and then become your best, most beautiful self you can be, you know? You don't have to be accepted. You don't have to go and join organizations demanding acceptance and stuff. Just be yourself. And then, you know, all those changes that come from within, the more that you love yourself, the more you won't care if somebody doesn't love you. That's their loss. If they don't want to know you, they're on a different friggin' mission. They're on a different thing. Don't worry about it, you know? And when it comes to love, that's between you and this person that you, an adult person, that you are involved with, where you want to take your love or how you want to express your love. Many people are happy just to, you know, spend time with each other. It doesn't have to be sexual for them to feel fulfilled from some relationships. That's just, you know, I think that's also just part of what we are sold, to confuse us, to keep us off center. There's so many people with anxiety disorders, and they are, you know, Big Pharma is there to rescue you, though. Got all sorts of drugs for you. You know, if that drug doesn't work, we got a couple more, but you may need to take 2, but you may need to add this one in later, and then you probably are going to have to go up, and then when you go off of them, I'll tell you what, going off of those psych drugs, because I went on to Paxil, and it was, that was a long time ago. I would say, I'm so messed up with time all the time. I'm just going to guess, okay, by the house I was living in, I would say it had been like 20 years ago. So maybe the drugs have come a long way since then. I would say it'd have to be like 18 or 20 years ago. And I was super depressed. I was ready to just drive my car off the fucking cliff. I was just, oh my God, I was so depressed. I just felt so hopeless, so helpless, just so down. I mean, it was when I did some ice cubes and some fell on the floor, and I went into a fucking crying, like I was like the end of the world. I was like, okay, Kelly, you've got to see a doctor. Something's wrong. This should not be this traumatic to drop the ice. So I went on the Paxil, and it, oh man, it was like instant. Oh God, I felt good. I felt strong. I felt powerful. I felt like, yeah, I can take you on. I'm not gonna cry either. And at the time, the person I was with was very controlling and argumentative, so that wasn't like perfect as the memory that I can zoom back into, that I can see was an interaction. And it was about something so stupid too. My windshield wipers weren't working on my car, and I wanted them fixed. I had to drive the kids around. And not only that, I had to go, and there was something else. Oh, my car would only go up the hill like 5 miles an hour, and people get really pissed. And there was a big ass hill. I had to go take the kids to school, and there was a big ass hill I had to come up. And it was on this one, I'm putting up it. People are pissed off, like swerving around me. It's raining. My windshield wipers aren't working. I'm like, oh my God, this is freaking hell. And I go home and I'm like, I got to get my windshield wipers fixed. This is ridiculous. I can't be driving around like this. Oh, you'd think I'd said you're the most worthless piece of shit. I need to be eating off gold plates and use gold silverware. And, if I don't have lobster every night, then you are worthless. It was just the reaction, just like over there's reaction. Some of the overreactions you see, just like with the ice cubes falling. If you're overreacting to stuff, you probably have some pent up energy that you need to kind of work on. You need to pull it up, see what's going on in yourself. But anyways, so the Paxil made me feel really great for a while, but then I needed to go off of it, and I don't remember why. If I just was like, okay, I don't want to take this anymore. And maybe I was on it a couple months. But it took, oh my gosh, going off of it was so horrible. I had the most horrible headache for like a week. I felt so sick. I was, the withdrawals off of that medication was, oh my gosh. Yeah, your body shouldn't feel that way. Going off of some meds, that's yeah. It felt like in that freaking show, The Travelers, when they show the consciousness is going in and out, and they have this whole like, their faces start shaking. They go into these violent spasms, because this other. I just can't stop looking at my hair. So that's what it felt like to go off of that. And then when I had to go on it again, when I would call it the dark night of the soul, that dark winter that I had, where I was in there and I had to face my own self. I had to face all my own demons. I had to deal with myself. I had to accept myself, see the dark side of myself, and still love myself. That winter too, she put me on one, and I was saying, I don't want to go through that withdrawal thing again. That was freaking fucked up, man. And so they put me on Wellbutrin, and it was nice. I mean, the Paxil, that was like, I'm telling you, that was like magic. And the Wellbutrin, it seems like it was nice, but I was already, just going into it was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, at that time, I wasn't going to drive my car off a cliff. I couldn't get the images of me hanging myself out of my head. But it was just because of that place that I had, like a really high stairwell thing that, I knew if you could hang yourself from and you would die. But that wasn't like I wanted to do it. I didn't want to do it. That's why I went on the medicine. And anybody who's feeling that, it's a horrible feeling. It's horrible to feel like, you're that hopeless and that helpless and that you just want to be dead, that life is so hard and so miserable. And you do have to help pull yourself out of it, That energy will suck you down. It will suck the life out of you. You have to fight that energy with all you've got. And you have to, take it on as a battle. And find yourself. Don't listen to what it is that's pulling you down. If you can start recognizing your ego talking in your head, then that might help you start recognizing the other communication. Because your ego has a specific role, and it doesn't always work in a positive way because it's there to protect you, but it has a lot of arrogance, and it can mislead you, and but definitely the trying to protect you. So it will sit there and tell you like, oh, you don't want to do that. That's not going to be good. Don't do that. You would never be able to do that. You would never be good at that. Don't even try to do that. Like, that's the kind of stuff like your ego will do to protect you, to keep you safe. That's why it's not always like good, but you have to start recognizing when that communication is coming in. The more you can recognize and separate the communications that are coming in your head, I think that the more better you will find. And if you can accept yourself, talk back to them. If you're going to sit there and think, okay, that means I'm a crazy person, because this is a paradigm that's built up. I'm a crazy person. I can't talk to these voices. That means I'm mentally ill. That means I'm hallucinating. I'm having auditory hallucinations. But auditory hallucinations are different than that, because auditory hallucinations won't necessarily tell you where your keys are and stuff. So you can communicate, and if you lost your hat, I haven't seen this hat since winter. Where is that hat? I really need this hat. I gotta go camping. I need my hat. Then sit down and be quiet and listen, and they'll tell you, and they'll show you, and you go find your hat. So I find them to be helpful, the communication. So I always say work on that communication and translation and understanding and listening and everything. Now I've been talking almost an hour. But I really like the sentient being thing. I really am. They do tell me some stuff sometimes, and I do have to look it up, and it always is like, oh, it is, stuff I didn't know. So, okay, well, let's all have a great day today, okay? It's going to be a great day. You can see the sun is coming in. That storm, yesterday where it was so windy, I'm over at in Washington State, so I'm over by the ocean. And then on the other side, up against Idaho, that's where Spokane is. So it's all the way across. And then you go through the mountains. The mountain ranges are all over here. But then you have the plains, and then you have Spokane, and then it has mountains surrounding it. So it's kind of like in a valley. And so when that storm got over to there, I talked to my mom last night because she sent me pictures. And I was like, what is that? And she's like, oh, it's my carport. It just is torn into pieces and has flown across the thing. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And so the winds became 70 miles an hour over there once they got there. I don't think they were, it could have been like 20 miles an hour. I've looked it up sometimes, and it will be like the trees are bending, it's so windy. And I'll look it up and be like, 10 miles an hour, what? What happens when it goes to be 70? Because I've heard from a lot of people up here that it will have horrible windstorms. Will be up in the 70s, 80s, and trees are going down on people's houses and shit. And my mom lives by the lake in Spokane, and they have the same thing. And so many people by her and so many people by me, they just go out and clear cut. Like, we don't want any trees. My yard is all trees. I believe the trees support one another. The guy behind me, he wants to cut down all the trees. And he has the lot next to me and behind me. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I'm keeping my trees. I want the privacy. And the trees support each other. You just start cutting down the trees. If a tree is going to come through your house, and it was meant to come through your house, if a tree's gonna, you know, knock you on the head and kill you, that's how you were meant to die. It's not like the tree accidentally killed me. Oh, yeah, there's so many accidental deaths. It's like, no, it's just the death. It's all it is how the person died. And some of them are so crazy, I don't even know how people can question it. Like, crazy shit happens and you die. It was meant to be. But anyways, so she did have 70 miles an hour. So it picked up, because then I got a storm warning that the Cascades were having a storm and we were going to have snow, and it started hailing. It turned really dark, and it was, oh my gosh, it was so noisy. And but at the same time, she was already having their storm, because she was sending me pictures at the same time. So the storm, but it moved fast. Like, I don't know how long they had all of the outrageous wind, but the one at the times when I was in Texas making that movie with my brother, they had a windstorm in Spokane right before I got back, and it was 125-mile-an-hour winds. And when I got back, it was like a war zone. I was shut down everywhere. Like, power lines go down, got trees go across power lines. Like, it's a big freaking mess when that stuff happens, just like a tornado or a hurricane or any of that. So, okay, now I've been talking for 10136. Okay, that's a long one. Okay, guys, have a great day, and let's just hope there's no storms today. Let's have this sunny, beautiful day. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.